80 degrees, sunny, and not a cloud in the sky. It's the perfect day to crown a champion of the Lone Star Alliance Invitational. Welcome to Keller, Texas, for this championship bout between the LSU Tigers and the TCU Horned Frog here on Game On Sports. Kyle Yeomans alongside Heckma Harrison. We were here for both semifinals yesterday. TCU, LSU, each wearing purple, coming out on top yesterday. But this is a rematch, Heckma, that's been a couple weeks in the making by this point.
And both of these coaches are excited to have this championship match here in Keller, Texas today. And I'm telling you, it only took it about 7 days to come to fruition. But again, these are two highly touted teams that come into this game today knowing that they have a championship on the line.
Let's start with LSU, who advanced to this final with a 10-2 victory over Texas Tech yesterday. Big reason for that was the play of Doug McCoy in between the pipes. McCoy, just the junior out of Roswell, Georgia, who was actually called in off the couch on spot duty prior to the game against TCU, had a fantastic game there, and he continued that into yesterday.
Yes, he did. And you talk about being called in off the couch, and the first meeting was against TCU when he had a couple stand on his head moments. And you talk about yesterday, man, he was defending and making himself wide in between the pipes.
He certainly was against Texas Tech, only allowing the 2 goals in the semifinal. On the other side, it was a much tougher matchup for Brody Cummins in TCU as they took down Texas A&M. Final score of that game was 6-4, but a game that was never really out of reach for the Aggies. The Horned Frogs defense, though, stood strong.
Absolutely. Brody Cummins had a lot to do with that, him just being stout all game long. And it wasn't that, Texas A&M was not challenging him in the crease, because they definitely were, but it was the defense for TCU yesterday.
The defense, and then also led by freshman out of Katy, Texas, Grayson Weithman. My goodness, it was like there was 12 of Weithmans out there on the defensive side. He was that good.
Yes, he was. And you talk about it almost seemed like he multiplied himself in real time. He did that, and just playing great defense and getting in those passing lanes. Look for number 49, Weithman, for the Horned Frogs.
Shane Coppins, the head coach in his 5th season at LSU, looking for his 2nd title with the program. TCU, on the other hand, Mark Purcell is the head coach. You mentioned him a couple moments ago. A rematch that was last won by LSU. 10-9 was the final score. That was at Lee Hodges Stadium in Shreveport, Louisiana. Who will take home the title today as we are underway here from Keller, Texas, and the LSA Invitational Championship? The freshman Matt Bates wins at the face-off X, takes it himself, and he will take a try at goal. Misses it off to the left. It's picked up by his Tiger teammate, and LSU will reset. Straight up, long pole strike, and it hits just inside the far post. Cade Hernandez puts the Tigers on the board 15 seconds into the title bout.
Cade Hernandez has the magic stick for the Tigers. He's standing in the alley, and he delivers a laser.
We heard from Coach Coppins prior to the opening face-off saying that the energy is there, the passion is there. You can see it 15 seconds in. There's a little added emphasis for this LSU squad that is looking to make something happen and to bring home a championship. Yeah,
absolutely. And the energy that these guys have been practicing with pregame warm-ups, and to now, man, they are definitely intense on the Bayou Bengals.
Another easy win for Matt Bates against Justin Cozy. Cozy on the TCU side in the face-off X had his work cut out for him yesterday, but ultimately won most of the bouts at the face-off X against Texas A&M. That was a big reason for the TCU victory.
Yeah, and his contribution at the face-off was huge for them late in the game and getting them those extra possessions.
Bates was undefeated at the face-off X yesterday for LSU against Texas Tech. Very unique atmosphere for that game. Texas Tech with not enough players to finish that game with the same amount of numbers, at least just with players on the field. Didn't have a sub coming in, and then after an injury really put the Red Raiders in a tough situation. TCU defense in a tough situation there as that shot is blocked by Brody Cummins. Mason Cardiff had a great shot at goal, though.
Yes, they did. And you talk about how unique that situation was yesterday. It was unique enough for Shane Coppins to get some of his guys and put them on TCU's squad. But luckily, the game was called after the first half because of the lack of numbers.
Didn't really like doing that. He even talked about it today with us. How about this shot right in front of the crease? and a beautiful feed to Ron Johnson. He had 4 goals yesterday, and it's 2 quick ones to start off for the Tigers.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance in pregame to talk about Ron Johnson, but Ron Johnson and Caleb Malzone, these guys have a 2-man game going with each other, and anytime one of them is behind the X, it just seems like they're looking for the other who's lurking in front of the cage.
And going back to the matchup between these two programs, when they last played a couple weeks ago in Shreveport, it was TCU that came out hot.
Absolutely.
There was a 4-goal lead, 4-0 before the Tigers got on the board. Then they scored, of course, 10 out of the next 15 goals to take that win. However, it's an opposite roles reversed here with LSU with 2 early ones to start this matchup.
Yeah, and you got to keep your eyes, again, there's Munzone with his shot on goal, and it's going to be turned over to TCU. But again, man, they are putting a lot of pressure on Brody Cummins, and they did that obviously in Shreveport in the second half.
It's really the first time TCU has had possession on their half of the field. See if they're able to put a little pressure on Doug McCoy, the junior out of Roswell, Georgia. We talked about him in the open. Called out of spot duty in need of a goalkeeper was Coach Coppins, and he did not have Henry Ballard, did not have Diego Segura, who I'm sure is probably watching this matchup. But Doug McCoy was the last-ditch effort to get a goalkeeper for that last matchup against TCU, and he did not just come off the couch. He came in and performed.
Yes, he did. And I mean, big-time performance there in Shreveport. And he was I would say he was the reason why they won, because, again, they intensified the intensity of the game in the second half with such, man, Kyle, it was a complete race for both teams, but it was because of McCoy just basically standing on his head and not allowing any goals in that 4th period.
Gambrell with the assist, far side to Stephen Mason. That shot goes left, and LSU was the first one to the end line. Kirby Stifle with the hustle gets the ball back over to the Tigers. So an early defensive stand for LSU on the first real possession from the Horned Frogs, and so far TCU has not put a shot on goal. Doug McCoy has not have to make a save so far.
Yeah, you saw in that offensive possession, they went immediately in trying to get a shot, obviously not able to get to the end line in time, so the ball is turned over to LSU, but right now LSU just being patient, setting up their offense.
So back to the end line. Here's Brett Davis. Plants with the right foot, now attacks toward the crease. Back up to the near side for Ron Johnson. Worked around the perimeter. That's Zach Sherman straight up at the top. Guarded closely by Jack Waller. Sherman, the senior, holding the ball in his stick. Prairieville, Louisiana native and a Dutchtown high school product. He plants, goes goal line extended, calling for it at the top of the formation. That one underneath, and an easy save for Brody Cummins.
Yeah, good job by Brody. He knew that shot was coming. He got down on his knees and just scooped that one out.
A worm burner out of the stick and into the stick of Brody Cummins. And this one mishandled by TCU in transition, picked up on the ground ball by LSU. You can see the pace from the Tigers. Jack Gouliard working past midfield, and he'll throw on the brakes, giving it to Ron Johnson.
Yeah, both of these teams do a really good job of change-up on their pace. You saw that in the last offensive possession from LSU. They did a good job of just being patient, setting things up. This time, they go a little bit faster, but TCU is setting up their defense and ready for them.
Devin Bonney is checked in for LSU. There he is, running numbers to the near side. He is shadowed by Jack Huey, who had a fantastic game for the Horned Frogs yesterday.
Yes, he did.
Whole defense for TCU, we can name every one of them, and they had a great game against Texas A&M to get themselves here. Down 2-0 here with 10:30 remaining in the first quarter. This one goal line extended. This one up and over into the crease. It's swept back over to Brody Cummins, who puts the clamp down and secures possession for TCU. There is a Horned Frog down. 10:14 left in the first quarter, just getting underway, but LSU with a blistering hot start and 2 early goals to open up the advantage. A unique situation for this TCU defense that prides themselves on that half of the field. Heckma, Coach Purcell, saying that he believes it's one of the best, if not the best, defensive units in all of MCLA lacrosse.
Yeah, and he has reason to believe that. And you saw it yesterday in their match against Texas A&M. That made the difference in the game, the way that they shut things down in the second half, not allowing but a goal for the second half from Texas A&M. So they do a really good job. But I thought also you mentioned something that's really important. I mean, this is deja vu all over again, but for LSU now getting out to this early 2-score lead.
And TCU trying to do exactly what LSU did to the Horned Frogs a week ago, and that's come back from an early start. It was Joshua Harrison, the freshman from Westlake Village, California, who was banged up on the play. He's able to get up and walk off on his own power. A great sign there for the Horned Frogs defense. A couple players check in here for TCU, including Jack Huey again.
You know, we talked about this yesterday in TCU, their output yesterday versus the Aggies and how that would affect them coming into this game. That was a 3 o'clock tip-off. And, you know, they expended a lot of energy yesterday, so they've come out a little bit flat. And I'm looking for these guys to pick it up a little bit because they're going to have to match this intensity of it from LSU, who only played a half yesterday.
Yeah, won that game 10-2 against Texas Tech and then called at halftime because of the lack of available players for the Red Raiders. See if TCU can answer here. This is a huge moment of the ball game, and it's knocked out from behind. A huge stick check, pokes it out of the stick of Trey Mala. Now LSU secures it.
Yeah, that's Cade Hernandez, a rear check. That was awesome. Just great defense.
He had a goal earlier, too. He's already off to a great start for the Tigers. Not an easy clearance for LSU. TCU turning up the heat right in the midfield zone, all the way to the wing side of the field. It's picked up on the ground ball by Colin Ferguson, and now whistles will blow. Not enough time for LSU to get past midfield. The call was made. Shane Coppins does not enjoy it, and our officials give it back to TCU. By the way, the officials for today are ref Yvonne Isaac, the umpire is Ed Carr, and the line judge is Donovan Stamps. The three tabbed with Lone Star Alliance duty here in the title matchup. Had some questionable calls yesterday, not from this group of officials, but that second semifinal against TCU and Texas A&M, there were plenty of back and forth calls that were head scratchers, to say the least.
Yeah, it was handled, but, you know, there were just a couple instances of some inadvertent whistles. But either way, you know, I think TCU showed that they were definitely the team that was going to win that game. And that's Connor McLaughlin making it into the crease and getting the Frogs on the scoreboard.
Yeah, the freshman out of McLean, Virginia, goes streaking in, dodged to the left side and didn't have a great angle. Was working goal line extended and then worked straight into the crease, and like you said, put it right over the left shoulder of Doug McCoy, and it puts the Horned Frogs on the board. 2-1 our score, 8:17 remaining in the first quarter.
God, just a great move. He was able to pivot and get Doug McCoy just to move over just a titch and just fired that one right over his shoulder.
An impressive play from the Horned Frogs, and LSU sees that lead cut in half. Now can TCU secure their first win at the face-off X? Battle between Matt Bates and an Ufogo for TCU. Ethan Griffin attacked with the short stick. This one's still put on the carpet, trickles out to the TCU sideline, and it goes over to LSU. So Tigers on the attack. Willie Sofield, far side, tried to get it to Monzone, picked off in the process, and now TCU past midfield easily. The Horned Frogs have a couple numbers here. Andrew Miller lurking back toward goal, but it's Stephen Mason that brings it up for the Frogs.
Yeah, Zach Serpola does a good job of getting that ground ball for the Horned Frogs. Great possession, or great defense by the Frogs.
Lundy lurking right in front of the crease. Mala mishandling the pass initially from Harry Larson. Gambrell, who had a hat trick yesterday, he's wearing the number 32 in the purple. Here goes Mala, goal line extended. He'll work from behind.
Yeah, you got to watch Mala in the GLE. He's sneaky good, and he'll get to the inside on you, but he's always keeping his head up and his vision there so he can make an outlet pass.
That's such a dangerous part of the field for this TCU attack. Both him and Gambrell had multiple goals yesterday from that area. Here goes Miller, who's crafty from out in front. He goes GLE, goes straight toward the crease, and then throws on the brakes. Switches direction, still trying to back down a defender. Here goes Mala right in the middle. Excuse me, that was easy to Lundy.
Yeah, and they make that pass to Lundy. Like I said, there's always a TCU Horned Frog that's standing right there in the crease when they go to that offensive set. Just a great way. They go to that open set, but they're always looking for the cutters, and they find a cutter in Lundy.
The first cutter was Harry Larson. Came in, received the pass, and then almost behind the back, tipped it to Lundy, who was the second streaker coming straight in toward net. And it made things tough, just a massive humanity out in front of Doug McCoy, and there really wasn't a whole lot that the LSU goalkeeper could do.
Yeah, a lot of shot opportunities there, not taken, but they're looking for their guys, and they finally got the right cutter in Lundy standing right there.
Another fantastic play from Grayson Weithman. The physicality decleats Matt Bates after what looked to be a clean face-off win. Weithman came in, laid out Bates right around that 40-yard line. However, a violation for LSU will give it, or excuse me, for TCU gives it back to the Tigers. Look at the physicality from Weithman.
No easy clear at all. Weithman's going to stay with his man hip to hip.
That was Kilmowski on the run. May have had a little more room than I think even he anticipated, and instead it's Caleb Monzone who handles for the Tigers. A whistle from the far side. Ed Carr blows this play dead at the moment. And now we're back underway. Just kidding, no we're not. Not sure exactly what the stoppage in play has to do with.
Looks like chin straps, making guys snap them.
That shows the physicality that's at hand. How about this play? Monzone on the roundabout. Tried to sneak that one past Cummins, but Cummins was ready for it on the far post.
It's trying to get back topside was Monzone. TCU, again, doing a really good defense of walling these guys off.
5:45 left in the first. All knotted up at 2 after 2 unanswered to start for LSU. TCU has stifled the momentum.
Yeah, Zach Sapola's done a great job back there defending the X. Just not allowing any easy shots and able to get back topside. Well, he actually does. And Brody Cummins is standing there. Great save.
Huge save, point-blank range on Caleb Monzone. And TCU staying strong defensively, but the danger is not done yet. Fresh 80 seconds for LSU. The shot, once again, saved away by the right shin of Brody Cummins, and TCU gets it back with the hustle on the end line.
Absolutely, and that was a great hustle because Monzone was hustling to that end line also, but possession goes to TCU.
Brady Niles, it's a long stick midi that got there in time. Excuse me, not long stick, but the midi that got there in time. So now the Horned Frogs back on the offensive side and attacking, trying to take their first lead of the matchup. Wind blowing in their favor directly into the eyes of Doug McCoy.
Yeah, I think Coach Purcell has found something here on the near side, finding those backdoor cutters.
Looking for a weak spot in that Tigers defense. Had 9 goals against LSU in that Shreveport matchup.
Yeah, and you see it with Lundy standing right there, but now LSU's got hip to it. They got 2 guys standing around him also.
Miller working toward the near hash mark. Leans in with the left shoulder, and he puts it top shelf. TCU with 3 unanswered take the lead.
Andy Miller, let your stick be heard.
Andrew Miller with his 17th goal of the season. Did not score yesterday, but the senior from Minnesota puts his stamp here on the LSA title game.
Goodness gracious, man. He caught that and all in one motion, just shocked that right over the shoulder again of Doug McCoy, man. That was a heck of a shot.
Just trails Hayden Lundy by a single goal now in terms of team lead. Lundy with 18 after his 1 goal yesterday, and Miller puts up 1 today to give him 17.
Bates is doing a really good job at the X.
He has been clean for the most part. TCU, though, having to bring that extra help from the wing side to get in there and help at the Fogo spot. Violation gives it back to the Horned Frogs, and they love it on the near sideline. Physical is what we were told about this matchup. And I can't say we've been disappointed through the first quarter, 3:40 and counting, until the first period comes to an end. We've already seen 5 goals put up. There were 19 total in the first matchup, so pretty much right on cue between these two programs.
Yeah, and I think TCU is woken up. I mean, they started out a little bit flat. We talked about a heavyweight matchup yesterday versus them in Texas A&M, and we know it was going to be some ebb and flows, and this game is definitely going to have some major ebb and flows.
Is handled by Gambrell, but a nice job by Mala to be there to clean it up off of the turf. Here goes Harry Larson on a run again, lost his footing, and LSU's going to take advantage. High stick that time, no call. And TCU with 20 seconds left on the shot clock will give it to Gambrell far side. He's berated as well. The physicality from the LSU defense certainly apparent. 10 seconds to shoot. Mala works to the left hand. That one on the ground, and it's sent wide off of an LSU defender. Out of play. Sticks with TCU, but only 4 seconds to shoot. This is going to be tough as soon as this whistle blows. Ethan Griffin throws it the other direction, and now TCU's going to get back on defense. So with 2:37 left in the first quarter, TCU leading this one 3-2. 3 unanswered goals after LSU had every ounce of momentum to start with the first 5 minutes of this matchup.
Yeah, LSU comes out and they draw first blood. And so TCU has responded in this first period. And so we knew it was going to be physical. We knew the matchup. And there weren't going to be any mismatches in this match. But, again, both of these teams playing physical. And I expect this to stay a tight match all the way through the final seconds.
No doubt about it. Both of these teams wanting to take home the trophy that sits underneath the Lone Star Alliance tent on the near sideline. Here's Ron Johnson, had a window. Thought about it even after the window closed. So he got in between the hash marks. He looked again toward goal. Elected to hold on. Here's Monzone.
Look at them walling him off. Once he gets top side, you see those 3 defenders fronting him there. Not allowing an easy shot, but boy, they had that opportunity.
They tried to fit it in a tight window to the streaker and Zach Sherman. Sherman looking for his first goal of the season and had an opportunity there, but TCU read it like a book and closed in with a sandwich of defenders. Goal line extended. That one knocked away again.
That's great defense.
It was Zerpolo that jarred the ball loose. TCU on the clearance, having some trouble. 4 white jerseys berating a TCU defender on the near side. Couple extracurriculars after the whistle. Sofield tangled up with Jack Huey. 1:12 left here in the first.
A little chippy. I think they want that pretty trophy that's sitting there. I know I do.
Are we surprised?
No, I'm not surprised at all.
Not even a little bit. Miller with the most recent goal for TCU, giving the Horned Frogs the lead. How about
Miller.
This one? Harry Larson on the drive for hash mark, and he put it home from point-blank range again. TCU and their penetration on this LSU defense has been fantastic.
Stealing a little bit of that momentum back. Larson, man, he gets into that crease area, and he's unstoppable.
LSU having some trouble slowing down the attack of TCU. 4 unanswered now for the Horned Frogs, and with just 47 seconds remaining till the halftime break, the Tigers are on their heels. This is the perfect response for Coach Mark Purcell and company. Really what they've been looking for.
Yeah, they've taken the first shot on the chin, and they've responded. So we talked about the energy level that LSU came out with, and they've matched it.
Bates with another win at the face-off X. He's been extra efficient. How about the long strike from distance, and Cade Hernandez put it on goal, but Cummin put it in net.
Yes, he did.
Now TCU with possession after the quick strike from LSU. Can they add to their 2-goal lead?
Traeger Kennard with a little bit of an ankle breaker.
There's a shot off the left side from Steven Mason. Picked up quickly by Miller. Back to Mason. Has some space. And a huge save right in front of the net as Doug McCoy got a stick on it.
Yeah, Doug did a great job. It's making sure that he's not pulled out of position because he knows that there are Horned Frogs behind him. Great job keeping his eye.
Final shot of the period, and it clanks off the post as time expires.
Goodness.
TCU with all the momentum as we head to the second quarter here from Keller, Texas. 4-2 our score, and you can even see it at the end there, Heckma. TCU, after really, like you said, getting hit on the chin and coming out flat, they turned it around pretty quickly, and not having to use an entire period to do so has paid to their dividends.
Are you serious? We have 3 more quarters of this.
Goodness gracious.
I mean, we are not going to have a voice if we get to the end of this because these guys are putting it all out here.
No doubt. And you can see the energy, you can see the passion.
Yes.
And no matter what is at stake, these two teams don't necessarily like each other in the first place.
You think?
And we saw that last night between TCU and Texas A&M. I mean, there is a rivalry factor inside the Lone Star Alliance, and also it doesn't necessarily help, at least in the friendly department, whenever you don't get to play a ton of lacrosse in a crazy season, much like this one. But these two teams taking advantage of every opportunity they can of getting out on the field and competing, and compete they are. As we are 15 minutes down, like you said, wow, we've got 45 minutes of game action to go. We've already had 6 combined goals in that first period, had enough action for an entire game.
Yeah, I'm trying to store some energy here because I know by the time we get to this fourth quarter, we're going to be off the rails.
Off the rails, indeed. And really, it's been the same cast of characters we talked about in the open that have taken advantage, as Andrew Miller had a goal. Grayson Weifman had a fantastic defensive stand. Harry Larson came in with a big goal. It really has been a cast of characters for TCU all season long, making an impact, but continuing that today.
Yeah, and they have a bunch of senior leaders on this team as well. And you know, with Coach Mark Purcell, this is a well-coached group. And so they kind of anticipated, I'm sure they have, that LSU would come out, they would play fast, and if they got down by any points, just maintain their composure and stick to their disciplines and get back in this game. And that's why they're up by 2.
This next goal is huge for both programs, especially if TCU gets it. They're up by 3 goals, and with the defense that they employ, it's tough to get 3 goals against TCU in any matchup. Just ask Texas A&M, who only put up 4 throughout the 4 quarters yesterday. And if you're LSU, if you score next, you have the momentum, and you're only back down by a single score. So, starts in the face-off X, and after Bates had the initial advantage, it's taken away by TCU and Jack Huey as he works near side on the numbers.
Yeah, Jack Huey's got his hand in the cookie jar. Way to get that ball out of Bates' head.
Bates has just had that easy push.
Oh,
He's been very quick, but TCU in the wing has been very beneficial so far for the Horned Frogs. How about the windup and the save from Doug McCoy? Ethan Griffin put it on net, but McCoy able to stand strong.
Yeah, McCoy is not he's not playing like a guy that's come off the street and only had a week at the goal. I mean, he's obviously going to some type of camp or something like that in his spare time because he is sharp.
He has had 2 straight big-time saves. Got lucky with the crossbar at the end of the first quarter. But he had his struggles in that first half against this TCU attack. 4 goals put up by the Horned Frogs, but most of that was just because of the straight attacking energy that TCU had.
Doing a good job of rotating But again, it's TCU's defense. You see these guys communicating and just meeting them out on the perimeter, but once they get behind that restraining line, they are collapsing into the box and not giving them any easy shots, and that's an unforced error.
You use the word unforced. I'd say that the TCU defense certainly forced that error. It wasn't a ton of pressure physically, but like you said, with the great rotation that TCU had on that side of the field, it forced LSU to make the ball have life and to bring some ball movement and to work around the perimeter. And because of that, Monzon was just not able to handle the easy pass, and it turns it right back over to the Horned Frogs. But now Monzon and LSU get it right back. Can he make something of it? Monzon on the fast break, sends it up over the crossbar, just whizzing past the net of Cummins and past the orange pipe.
Yeah, I should have been saving my unforced error for that pass right there.
There you go.
It was a little premature.
A couple sloppy turnovers from each side to start this second quarter.
Now, Christian Latino is a big part of what they do on offense. He's been quiet the last couple of days. Look for him, number 11, to get involved.
Trying to get involved yesterday against Texas Tech, but it really seemed like he just never saw the field, at least as much as you would want the junior to see the field. There's some physicality. That one put on the turf, and Gambrell forces a turnover. Now TCU and Gambrell will take it the other way. The look for Lundy, saved, kicked around, and picked up by the Tigers, and once again Doug McCoy standing on his head.
Goodness, and Lundy just had a great shot. You don't see him miss too many of those. Had him out of position and not able to get the score.
And a timeout called by TCU, or excuse me, called by LSU, as they want to set things up on their attacking end of the field. 11:57 left here in the second quarter, and while the scoring has taken a bit of a break, the energy and the defense has certainly seen a bit of an uptick here in the second period, Heckman.
Yes, the defensive output by both teams. I mean, in LSU, we hadn't talked enough about their defense and what they've been able to do, but they have been playing, some really solid, especially at the goal, and Doug McCoy and his ability to, deter shots, and also, good God, I can't say enough about TCU and what they're doing. I mean, number 49, Grayson Weithman, he's all over the place. I mean, you mentioned him multiplying himself last night and being all over the place. He's pretty much duplicated that effort and came in tonight, and he's showing it.
If you're Coach Coppins on the LSU sideline, what is your message to your ball club? Because you haven't necessarily done a whole lot wrong. You've only made one or two of those mistakes, but in a game like this, where the teams are so evenly matched, you can't necessarily make any of those.
No, man, you don't try and do anything different because they're still playing with the intensity. They're getting quality shots on goal. Just stay with your game plan. Don't try and do anything outside of the range of what got you here.
They're going to try and send a full-fledged attack at Brody Cummins. Cummins entering the tournament with a 74% save percentage, just over 15 shots, 15 saves per game. As he has been fantastic all season long for the Horned Frogs. Got to talk with Brody a little bit prior to the game. Came over and said hi. Talked about how his immediate family and extended family both watching the stream. So we appreciate the Cummins family and their support, not only their family member, but of our broadcast. See if LSU can get something going for Ron Johnson. They do. And Johnson with his second goal, 6th of the tournament, and it cuts the TCU lead in half.
Ron Johnson, you got to cut that goal and just put that somewhere. That's a highlight reel goal for Ron Johnson. That was sweet. At the front of the cage, and he fired that between the trees, and it found its mark.
Not only to cleanly receive the pass from his teammate in the middle of the trees. He was surrounded by purple jerseys.
Yes.
But to receive it as cleanly as he did, and then be able to put off a shot as quickly as he turned around and did, that was pretty impressive. And like you said, clip that one, my friend, because Ron Johnson, he's probably got plenty of highlights, but that was a special one. Quick win for Bates. He does get it off quickly this time, and an easy face-off win for LSU, probably the easiest they've had of the matchup so far, and the Tigers make it, take it. Have a chance for the tie here this trip down the field. Monzon spinning on his defender, attacking the crease. Monzon over the defense, and it's over the goal as well.
Yeah, Waldron doing a good job of walling him off and not allowing that shot, so it does go high, and it's because of the Horned Frogs defense.
That was such a huge answer from LSU. We mentioned it at the start of the quarter. The next goal was really going to dictate how this matchup went, and that was exactly what Coach Coppins ordered up for the Tigers, because you couldn't really afford to have that 3-goal lead. Can they go for the tie? The dive at the crease. It's a penalty, and it's going to be wiped off. No, it's not! They said it was clear!
Wow. Goodness gracious.
What a goal!
Man, and this diver, I mean, he got that off and the score. That is a great score, and we're all knotted up.
Donovan Stamps, our line judge, made sure to have a little bit of the dramatic added in to the goal call.
He did.
So not only is it a goal for LSU, but it's going to be Tiger possession and a man advantage, all knotted up at 4. That was the perfect scenario for the Tigers here with 10:52 left in the second quarter.
That's a thing for the melodrama. He had us all sitting on the edge of our seats, and he raises his arms up for good for the goal. Don't know who the penalty is going to be against, but I believe that's going to be a minute slash.
Should be. He threw the flag outside the crease, and everyone, including both sidelines, paused for the dramatic, waited for the call to come in, and then as soon as he gave the goal call, LSU's sideline exploded. I mean, water flying. It looked like they had won the title with that goal, and they took a huge step in that direction, not only tying the game, but giving an advantage to this Tigers offense. Now on the attack, you've put up 2 straight goals. You have TCU's defense on their back heels. Is this the opportunity of the game for LSU to rip that momentum back?
They already have. I mean, they've ripped it back, and you asked the question about, what adjustments they need to make. I think they answered that. They're just going to stay being aggressive and getting those quality shots on goal. Don't have to change anything. And I'd say the same for TCU and their defense. They have been playing so solid on defense. It's just, hey, every now and then a guy gets you out of position and you get a goal like that. Nothing you can do about a guy making an athletic play like that.
So back to the face-off X we go. No penalty box for either side. So the goal must have negated that just in time. So TCU will be at even strength, and it's an easy win again for Bates. He has been fantastic in the face-off X. Can LSU rip one past Cummins? No, they cannot. He makes another save off the shot from Cade Hernandez.
Cade Hernandez is not shy with that long pole, and he will take a shot from 20 yards away. He knows he's going to generate a lot of velocity with that long pole. But look for him. Look for Cade Hernandez. He's going to sneak one of those.
He's been accurate. He already has one. Now here's TCU on the counter. Miller working on the GLE. Has a goal already. He attacks. Works back to the crease. Switches directions. Working easily on Kirby Stifle. Closing in on the 10-minute mark here, the second quarter. All tied up at 4. TCU trying to take that lead back. Here's Mala.
Look at Stephen Mason standing in back door where he moves back down the X.
Mason was lurking right at the crease. Here's Gambrell again. Near hash mark, right-handed strike, and it goes right. Just whizzing past the near post. 9:43 left in the second. Gambrell mishandles the pass, puts it on the carpet, but picks it back up as Stephen Mason brought it in from the X.
Jack Gullard is playing is quality defense. Him and Garrett Frey.
How about this shot from Gambrell? Had a lurking Hayden Lundy right in front of the net. Sent it past the far post. This picked up off the turf by LSU. Devin Bonney in the short stick midi. Gets it ahead. Here's Cade Hernandez. Dishes it off. Goal line extended to the streaker, and he missed it. Oh, he tried to get it back to Hernandez, who was right in front of the crease. Ron Johnson was in the vicinity as well, but LSU turns it over.
Ron Johnson had the right idea, because I tell you, Kate Hernandez was in stride. If he would have been able to get that pass and score, that would have been a sweet score.
Almost looked like a fast break weave in basketball. The crisp passing. Wouldn't have thought that the sticks were just an extension of the body at that point, and they were so clean all the way up into that final pass.
Yeah, some of these guys
picture perfect.
Yeah, these guys are so skilled, and so I mean they do that time and time again, almost like ESP.
Hey, watch the road, watch the road. Watch cutters. Cutter boys 30.
Mala works to the right side. Malo rips it and sends it left.
That's just Trey being aggressive.
As he should. Had a goal yesterday. 9 goals entering the tournament. He's now up to double digits. Trying to get it back to Mala. Trickles its way. Far side to Huey. Mala again with the rip, and he goes top shelf. Fit it right under the crossbar, and TCU has a lead.
Whoa, Trey Mala goes top cheddar. All we needed was some chips, man.
Little extra queso for the Lone Star State. Even though he's from California, their queso's a little bit different.
Oh, he knows the difference. He's been in Texas long enough.
He's been in Fort Worth. 7:57 left in the second quarter, and the top cheddar from Mala, second goal of the game, third of the tournament.
What a shot.
He has really been special for this TCU team this season. And he's come on late. Hasn't necessarily done it all year. It's been the last couple of weeks where he has really seen the majority of his output. Look at the physicality from Matt Bates, the freshman throwing bows, trying to free up a little bit of space to work. Pass goes high, swept back in for for LSU, and the ground ball picked up by Ron Johnson.
Yeah, it's just good hustle by Ron Johnson, able to get over there and scoop that thing back and play.
Wind picking up here just north of downtown Fort Worth. TCU trying to protect the Lone Star gridiron. And a violation on LSU. Not enough time, and we're going to have a conversation between Ivan Isaac and Ed Carr. They were talking about the shot clock violation, but I think they're going to reset. Yep, stays to the white side as Ed Carr comes through. Says LSU will keep possession with 47 seconds left. Not exactly sure where the whistle came from Isaac. But LSU will keep it. The contact in front of the net. Pretty sure that was inadvertent, but you can just see the physicality and hear the clacking of the pads. Feels like summer football out here, Heckma Harrison.
Oh, it smells like summer football out here. 82 degrees.
Perfect weather for lacrosse. How about this strike on the dodge, and he lost it in transition. A last-second dive from Kamowski. Tried to keep it alive for LSU. It's still on the carpet. Swept around near side toward the numbers, and it's picked up by Kamowski, and he clears it back up to reset things for the Tigers.
That's Grayson Weithman. Grayson Weithman with the rear check, able to get the ball off the head and create that turnover.
If there was a defensive MVP award for this tournament, my vote goes to 49 in purple. Weithman has been that good, maybe even overall MVP. I mean, he has been that ecstatic and that energetic on that side of the field. He has made it tough on both the Aggies last night and then the Tigers tonight. Wind up shot, Ron Johnson saved by Brody Cummins. Another great save with the big net of Cummins.
It's a good clear by TCU.
Great passing. Here's Mason. Goal line extended. Looked to have a step, but it's ripped away. Garrett Frey active with the long stick.
Great defense from Frey.
Great awareness from the goalkeeper and Doug McCoy to come back and snag that with the big net.
With Colin Ferguson on the clear.
Able to work past midfield. 5:20 and counting before the halftime break. 5-4 our score. LSU trying to equalize things here on this Sunday afternoon. Run far side. Tigers, great passing here in this second quarter. Monzon looking for a window, doesn't have one, switches to the left side. Works on his defender, goes ISO, now switches fields. Long rip, and how about the stop on the backhand from Brody Cummins?
Brody said, deny, deny, deny.
Oh, that was pretty.
Yes, it was.
About as clean of a backhanded save as you're going to see from a TCU goalkeeper. Wow, that was nice. Now can they do something on the attacking end? 4:30 left. Huey working toward the numbers. Goal line extended. Back around. Mason. Goal for TCU.
Just a little bit of a roller. Mason. Goodness gracious, man. That was just great pass sequence from the Frogs.
That one just attacking the shoelaces of McCoy in net. So much tougher sometimes to go low than it is to go high for some of these goalkeepers because of the distance traveled between net and ball. And that time, Stephen Mason with a laser. Not sure if that one actually touched the ground till it got in the net, but it hovered above the turf. It could have blazed some of the grass.
Yes, it could
on its way in.
Matt Bates.
Bates again will win the face-off via the violation. Looked like that time, though, that Cozy might have had his best push on Bates all afternoon long. The two exchange some words heading back to the sideline. Can LSU answer? That one poked away again right in the middle of the formation as Kyler Waldron got a stick on it. That was setting up perfectly for Ron Johnson and LSU until Waldron got at least a bit of plastic on it.
I think we need to take a note of that because, had he not got that stick up, boy, Ron Johnson was in prime position to get a score.
That would have been a quick answer for LSU. Instead, they still trail by 2. Underneath 4 to play in the second quarter. So the clock is malfunctioning. The clock has not started. It's still stuck at 3:57. Let's keep that in mind. They're still playing, and it's still at 3:57. Shot near side, saved by Cummins. Another great look for LSU. That time it was from Brett Davis. Clock continues to stay at 3:57. We've been that way for quite some time. Not sure the officials nor neither team has even noticed it yet. We can only do so much as broadcasters, Heckma Harrison. We wear a lot of hats. But this is not one of them.
I wear a lot of hats.
You do wear a lot of hats. Okay, now we have finally somebody up there on the officials' far side. Thank you, Ed Carr, for figuring this out.
I believe that's about 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was maybe not that much, but it was a good amount of time. Maybe 2 minutes total. Now, can we go back to the tape? Because it was maybe an extra
31.
Putting up 31 seconds. That's not correct. I will say that much. But once again, we cannot wear those hats as broadcasters. 6-4 our score. They're going to put 3:10 on the clock. That might be a little bit more accurate. Only you at home can tell us from here on out. Goal line extended here for TCU, back on the attack following the save from Brody Cummins, one of which that stuffed Brett Davis from what would have been his third goal of the season. Right in the middle of the hash marks, mishandled by Mason, put on the carpet. It's picked up by the Tigers, but how about the last-second ditch effort to knock it free as Pacino came in, but LSU keeps it. Tiptoeing on the near sideline, and the clearance made by Jack Rosebush. Rosebush with the long stick. LSU on the counter, and they slow it down.
Yeah, Pacino took out Andy Miller. They both were going for the ground ball. This is unfortunate because they had the numbers to regain possession.
Rosebush a little banged up following the clearance. So LSU trying again to cut into the lead. They once led this 2-0, have not led since. Streaker right in the middle, and the pass goes high. Now it's trying, goes past midfield. Looked like a miscommunication there.
Yeah, trying to catch Cardiff. Going to call the push. Possession is going to stay with TCU. But I was going to say Cardiff was cutting in and they tried to get a pass to him, but that's just great defense by the Horned Frogs.
Cardiff, the 5'11 junior. Not exactly sure what the...
And even Lundy, when he's getting pushed in the back, he goes behind his back and being pushed at the same time. These guys are just making some athletic plays out here.
Yeah, they've really been showing off the stick skill today. 2 minutes left in the second. Here's a run loading up for Mala.
Dangerous area for Trey Mala, boy. When he gets into that alley, he is automatic.
Junior out of Gold River, California. Here he goes again, off the rib, sends it left. And stays with TCU. Good hustle from Ethan Griffin. There's more whistles. Timeout called by TCU. 1:41 left here in the second, and as things have kind of calmed down a little bit after what was just a blistering hot first quarter. I'm not talking about the weather. I'm talking about the energy between the two.
Blistering hot. I would say so, man. And again, I said it before in the pregame that this is going to be a game of ups and downs, ebb and flows. Who's going to be able to take a shot and come back? LSU opened. They delivered the first blow. TCU responded. LSU came back, and they responded. Here towards the end of the second half, can LSU make another move?
Remember, it took until the second half in that first matchup between these two teams in Shreveport to get any kind of momentum for the Tigers. It was all TCU in the first half, and while they do hold a lead here, it has not been more than 2 goals. But LSU has certainly seen some chances go to the wayside, one of which right in front of the net that we said, hey, got to mark that down because Ron Johnson, should he have not had the pass deflected by Kyler Waldron, would have had a easy look at goal. I mean, Brody Cummins was to the near post. There was plenty of space to that side of the crease, and Johnson was just waiting for it, but it was a clutch play from the senior out of Tampa Bay, Florida, that kept this thing at a 2-goal advantage for TCU. Chances like that, where it's not like LSU has done anything particularly wrong or they just haven't converted, it's just TCU has made the right plays, at least here into this second quarter, that keep them at a 2-goal advantage.
Yeah, and it's Waldron, it's Weithman, and in company, and Brody Cummins just making sure that they are staying in front of those shooters and keeping that head, those LSM keeping those long poles out and deterring these guys from making any passes.
With 1:41 left, a bit of a chess match between the two coaches, and we got a chance to talk in person with Shane Coppins before the game, and safe to say his energy matches those of the players. And my goodness, it was electric, just to say the least, the conversation that we had. I asked him, of course, as a former player himself, you get just as high up, just as energetic for games like this as a coach? He said maybe even more so. It's like every time a ball comes my way, I want to touch it, I want to suit up.
Yeah, that's a coach that you have to ask, does he have any eligibility left? Because he still looks like a player.
Sure. Absolutely. He could suit up and I'm sure teach everybody a lesson. This one clanks off the stick, and LSU tried to pick up the ground ball initially. They did so on the second attempt. Frey was the first one there, but it's Bonnie with the clearance. Bonnie now on the attack, working near side, sets things up right in the crease, and that one sails high from Wally Sofield.
Yeah, Sofield had a good look at it, but look at it from our angle, but definitely wide right. If he was able to get that down just a little bit, man, he may have had an opportunity.
Caleb Monzone was the one with the assist, and now Coppins will take a timeout. Mentioned how we got to talk with Coach Coppins in person, and he was electric. Didn't actually get a chance to talk with Mark Purcell prior to the game, but got a text message this morning from Coach Purcell.
Yeah.
And it was the game day graphic. It was a TCU graphic that just said game day, said see you boys later.
Yeah.
Oh, if you just told me that these two guys were coaching lacrosse just because, it's a little something extra to do. No.
No,
that's who these coaches are as people. They have that passion. They have that energy. Just as much so as the players. They want to win this trophy just as much as the ones in the jerseys.
Yeah, it means a lot, and especially with the year that they've had to deal with, and last year, 2020, getting called off. There's so much to play for, and these guys are looking at this new season as a rebirth for their programs, and that's why they're competing so hard. When we talked to Shane before the game, he talked about this championship and how much it meant in visualizing for his squad winning the championship, because they did back in 2019. So he knows how much this is going to mean for LSU.
He said there was a lot of visuals added. They even practiced winning the title, and you hear about teams doing that from time to time. They visualize winning a championship. They want to visualize that victory and that success, whereas TCU, it's really been all business and a revenge tour for the Horned Frogs, trying to work their way to a qualification for the MCLA tournament and the qualifier down in Central Texas. So back underway, under a minute to play. There's the physicality. Is coming in to lay down the hit was the redshirt freshman Jack Huey.
Yeah, Jack Huey just delivers some wood.
And LSU gets it back. Here's Monzone. Wind picking up. 35 seconds remaining. Big goal before the halftime break for LSU. Monzone from the sidearm attack, and the sling saved by Cummins.
What a shot by Monzone, and it just ricochets off of the pipes.
That one knocked away by Frey. Miller there for the ground ball. 15 seconds left. One last opportunity. LSU needs to get back on defense. Out of sorts at the moment. 9 seconds left. They catch a break as Frey all over Andrew Miller. 4 seconds to shoot. This one hits the turf, and LSU defensively will have a little momentum. And here comes a little pushing and shoving following the whistle, and the TCU sideline vacates for a split moment there. Things almost getting out of hand, but a great job by Yvonne Isaac to get there in time.
Yeah, getting a little out of hand. I mean, look, these guys were going after each other, and I just don't believe he appreciated the rear check.
I think that's the energy you would like to see from your defensemen. You can see that from Coach Coppins coming all the way over and making sure that his player knows that's the energy I want. Just don't do it after the whistle. Let's go ahead and rein things in from that point. And reining things in, it just sounds like an impossibility at this point between these two sides, because the energy is high, the passion is there, and my goodness, what an entertaining first half we have. TCU leads LSU 6-4 is our score. Heckma, what are your thoughts after the first 30 minutes of action?
Well, my thoughts are no lead is going to be safe in this game, and you know that LSU is going to come out after the half and they're going to bring it up 2 or 3 notches, and that's what TCU has to match, and they've done that. Started a little bit flat, but man, they have taken it on the chin and delivered some blows themselves, and you could tell, man, defensively, both of these squads are making sure that they're not making it easy, communicating on those passing lanes, and just communicating in general to make sure they don't get any easy shots.
Both teams made massive adjustments on that side of the field on the defensive end after what was a blistering hot first quarter. Into the second, much more defensive, and we've got 10 combined goals between the two. It's the rematch we've all been waiting for, and it's deciding the champion of the LSA Invitational. More Lone Star Alliance action coming up after the halftime break. We'll see you at the start of this third quarter. He's Heckma Harrison. I'm Kyle Yeomans. TCU leads LSU 6-4 on Game On Sports. 6-4, TCU with a halftime lead over LSU in the LSA Invitational Championship game. Here from Katy, Texas, and Vista Ridge Middle School, Kyle Yeomans alongside Heckma Harrison here for Game On Sports. And Heckma, the first half was as advertised between these two sides. I mean, LSU came out firing. Really, the sideline was just moments away from popping off before TCU stifled the run. Not only stifled the run, but have a couple goals to add on top of their lead. Yeah,
well, you say moments away. I think we were moments away from an all-out brawl, and we were able to get through that. But absolutely, man, you talk, TCU up by 2, and they have to just level up because they know that LSU has done this before, man. When they had them down in Shreveport, it was the second half that made the difference in that matchup.
No doubt about it. And as we're about 20 seconds from getting underway, we did see the penalty at the end of that first half that almost turned into what was, like you said, a benches clearing fight between these two sides. So it'll be interesting to see how the physicality goes to start this third quarter. There were no penalty flags thrown, so neither team has had anybody in the penalty box at any point in this game. It's been very clean from a penalty standpoint, but you've also seen the discontent from each of these sides.
Yeah, and that, I took the words right out of my mouth. It just, as physical as this game has been, you would have expected more penalties, but again, up until that point, very cleanly played game.
The only flag that's been thrown was actually on a goal that LSU scored on the advantage, quote unquote, that nixed the flag, or nixed the penalty time, I should say. There was a penalty thrown, but instead it was no time spent in the box. So we'll send Justin Cozy for TCU to the face-off X, Matt Bates for LSU. LSU has had the advantage at the X tonight in the Fogo, and Matt Bates has had a fantastic start to the matchup. However, TCU's physicality coming from the wing has been very adamant and has made things tough on the Tigers, at least after the initial push.
Yeah, and don't want to assume anything, but most of the time when Matt Bates goes to the Fogo, he's going to get the victory.
He certainly seemed like an automatic here at the start of the LSA Invitational. These two teams playing to try and find a bid to Central Texas in the MCLA Invitational. TCU at 6-1, LSU at 2-2, and there's an easy, clean win for Bates. Now here come the wingmen for TCU. Bates throwing a shoulder, loses the ball, loses his footing in transition. And they'll keep it with LSU calling the push.
Oh, and Weithman did a quality job, and obviously whistle and possession stays with LSU.
And he shook his head a little bit, didn't like the call. Neither did the TCU sideline and Mark Purcell. More whistles blowing. Not exactly sure what is going on. Oh, the clock was stopped again at 14:38. Clock did not start, and this time the officials able to catch it pretty quickly. As it now is back and underway. We had a clock malfunction in that first half. So LSU with possession, trying to cut into the TCU lead. They have not led since they were up 2-0.
And you see they're keeping Kyler Waldron backside on Ron Johnson, not allowing those easy outlet passes and score to go to number 44.
Joshua Harrison with the long stick right up at the top of the formation, making things tough on whoever is handling the ball. You said Ron Johnson, he had a couple goals in that first half. They'll try and get it to him, certainly. How about this strike from straight away, and it's another save for Brody Cummins. Standing up, Devin Bonney.
Yeah, Bonnie had a great shot in great position. But again, Brody he's done this time and time again. We saw it yesterday versus A&M, him just seemingly always being in great position to get those saves.
He is so calm under pressure. Whenever the heat is turned up from the opposing attack, it seems like Cummins gets better as it goes along.
They got an offsides penalty.
So he gives it back to LSU. LSU in the all-whites, the throwback look for the Tigers. Looks like the 1980s into 1990s football jerseys.
I love them. Aren't they sweet?
I think they're sweet. And TCU ditching the gray and white that they wore last night against Texas A&M and instead going with the purple and the white. They'll go from right to left here in this third quarter. Another nice play from Weithman to dislodge the ball, put it on the carpet, making things tough on LSU as they are all sorts of out of sort. Johnson can't handle the pass from Bonney, and it'll trickle out of bounds on the near side.
Yeah, Ron Johnson just staying in position, for LSU. Seems like he's making a home right there on that backside.
12:53 left and counting. TCU working with Mala to the far sideline. Goal line extended for the Horned Frogs, working back behind. Gambrell, 3 goals last night for the Horned Frogs, had half of the scoring output. Reminder, TCU only scored 6 last night. Scored 9 against LSU in their first matchup of the season back in Shreveport. There's a high stick going to be called. TCU with the advantage, and you can see the extra contact from Colin Ferguson. Near side, top shelf, that one good for TCU as Stephen Mason.
No, that was behind.
I thought it was initially as well, but the near side line judge and Ivan Isaac put the goal hands up. No goal.
Yeah.
I think that's the right call. I was kind of surprised to see that the call was made on the goal line of a good goal.
Ivan Isaac, he raised his arms, but again, clearly even from our vantage point, it looked like it went behind the pipes.
So the right call is made. However, we will see Colin Ferguson in the penalty box. First time in the penalty box for either side in this ball game. It's only a matter of time with how physical it has been. Can TCU take advantage and add to their 2-goal lead? Long windup from Huey, dumps it back off to the top and then back around to Mala. Miller lurking. Crease attack!
Wow.
It's Lundy!
What a shot! And a little bit of earth to get that through.
A sophomore from Hayden Lundy, the resident from Frisco, Texas, makes it 7-4 TCU.
Goodness gracious, what a score. They set that up and they did take advantage of the man down situation.
And now LSU in a tough situation, facing their biggest deficit of the matchup at 3 goals. 7-4, and you got to credit TCU on the attack. Just continued to pepper things at Doug McCoy, who's had a great game. But they have made things tough on the goalkeeper in between the pipes. Ground ball picked up by Weithman. He is so crafty with the stick. And he secures possession for the Horned Frogs. So Pacino checks in.
And I love when they bring in Pacino here in the second half. And you see that because he is just he's so quick. You got to watch 22 and his just ability to work the alley and set this offense up. I think he's the pace setter for Coach Purcell's in the second half.
Vieira back behind the net, tries to find Huey. He is berated as Ferguson was all over him, and Ferguson forces the turnover. Stifle with the ground ball, picked it up with the long stick, and now trying to find a clearance route. Finally does so to the far side with Drew Dodd.
Yeah, Ferguson right back in from the penalty and getting right back to work where he left off.
10:30 and counting. Wind picking up again here from Keller. Low 80s day, not a cloud in the sky. As we're into the second half, LSU needs a goal badly here in this third quarter. Reminder, this is right around the time where LSU turned up the heat last week against TCU in Shreveport. Monzone spins, fires, sends it left.
Yeah, Monzone is working that crease area. That's just heady by a guy like that to know where he is, use the crease to his advantage, and get a shot off.
Run up from Cardiff, cut off immediately by Weithman. His teammate in Huey forcing Johnson to the goal line extended. 9:45 left in the third. Here's Johnson. On the run, sidearm sling, and that one off into the right.
Shots almost identical.
First one went left, second one went right, but like you said, identical spots of the field. And it looks like it'll go back over to TCU. Brody Cummins has had a fantastic game in between the pipes for the Horned Frogs. Works his way all the way out to that 35-yard line marker. Finally met with some opposition, tries to feed it forward for Gambrell. LSU is there to pick it up. Dodd controls possession. That one knocked out of midair by the TCU defense. Again, it's Weithman. No surprise there.
Defense by Weithman couldn't locate the ball. The rear check by Weithman able to get the ball off the head of Devin Bunny, creating that turnover.
Yeah, both Weithman and Stephen Mason combining to force the turnover. And now Gambrell running with some teammates, sandwiched in between a couple of Tigers. It is knocked away. A clean strip of Gambrell, and now there's some extra pushing as Gambrell took a shot at Drew Dodd. An extra flag flies, and we'll see how this gets sorted out. You can see that was just a bit of frustration from Will Gambrell. The freshman from Fulshear, Texas, did not appreciate the contact. Took exception to it, and he's going to pay the price in the penalty box.
Yeah, he turned right into that double team.
Coach Purcell having a conversation with Gambrell on the near sideline. So 1 minute in the penalty box for Gambrell. A couple extra words in between the two sidelines.
Yeah, it is. Hey, because we're on this side, we can actually hear everything. And it is, yeah, these guys are sharing words with each other.
A rash of passes here for LSU, and an opportunity in front of the crease. Picked up initially, kept around, and then finally Cummins is the one who secures it for TCU. Able to clear it away to his defenseman, who tiptoes near side with the clearance. Extra stick from Brett Davis knocks it free, and now back and forth we go. It's back toward midfield, and it's picked up by Colin Ferguson.
Sometimes you rather be lucky than good, and I think Brody Cummins got lucky right there because Cardiff had a shot. And
oh, did he? Oh, he was right in front of the crease. He just couldn't handle the pass. It looked like it just slipped out of the stick. 7 seconds left in the penalty. See if LSU tries to take advantage with a couple extra shots here. They don't want to force anything. Plenty of time on the shot clock. Here's Ron Johnson trying to size up a run on that TCU defense. Once again, the Tigers need a goal. They have not scored here in the quarter. Stutter step from Ronzone. Right around the crease, feeds it right in front. Unable to be handled by Cardiff. Once again, the TCU defense is pestering. And the pass outside to reset gives it back to Kamowski.
Yeah, and the Frogs have gone to a man look.
7 minutes to play, 20 seconds to shoot. Third quarter, Monzone skips that one into the net of, once again, Brody Cummins.
My good, take a bow.
He's done everything for the Horned Frogs today to keep them with an advantage. Extra shove after the ground ball was picked up by Cardiff, and TCU gets it back as Stephen Mason controls possession. Goal line extended, shadowed by Stiefel.
Yeah, Stiefel doing a great job, just showing love with that stick, not letting him get any easy looks.
Lundy situated right in front of the crease. Vieira with it, now back near side to Larson.
And look at LSU's defense. Christian Latino coming out to guard the perimeter. They're giving a bunch of different looks on defense, both of these squads, mixing it up quite well.
So Mala slowing things down, killing a little bit of clock. 6 minutes to play in the third.
Mala has Rosebush on him. Wondering why he didn't take an opportunity there, but they're just picking their shots right now, knowing that they have a 3-score lead.
Larson in the middle for Mala! 4-goal lead for TCU.
Well, that's why Mala didn't take the shot. He knew he was getting set up, man, for success, and that was a great shot by Trey Mala.
Hat trick for Trey Mala, 3 goals today. And TCU 8, LSU 4 with 5:46 to play in the third quarter.
Yeah, the Frogs are feeling it now.
That was a beautiful setup. It's been a tough couple minutes for LSU. Mason Cardiff coming off the field. You can see from the body language a little extra frustration from the Tigers. They had some opportunities there to cut into the lead. Instead, they're faced with the biggest one they've seen from the TCU side.
Yeah, Brett Davis setting up the offense for the Tigers.
Another win for Matt Bates at the faceoff X.
Yeah.
He has been consistent as always. Bates. Long wind up. Monzone with it now. Spins, fires. Again, a save off of the one hop. Brody Cummins just doing it all for TCU right now.
I think I can say this, man. Brody Cummins is just a stud, man. He is having one
Unreal.
extra game.
He has done everything. When you talk about the clearance, the saves, the ability to pick up the ground ball. He's been crisp, he has been clean, he has been quick for TCU. 4:30 and counting in the third quarter. TCU has had their hands on this one since the end of the second quarter. The defense is clamped down. LSU has not scored in the frame.
And you see Shane going deep into his bench with that depth. He comes off the bench with Franklin Rodriguez.
Here's a run up. Looking far side for the Horned Frogs. Cut off quickly by Hernandez. 10 seconds to shoot for TCU. Back to Frey. You hear the countdown from the bench. One last heave. Not there in time, and LSU will force a defensive stand.
Yeah, that's a good job. Personnel change comes in, man. They do a good job of meeting these guys out on the perimeter and walling them off. Just a great job by LSU and creating the shot clock situation and regaining possession.
Look for a little bit more activity from Caleb Monzone and Ron Johnson. They each had 4 goals yesterday in the semifinal win over Texas Tech. And they've been relatively quiet today. Ron Johnson with a couple of goals, Monzone with 1. But really the entire attack for LSU has been quiet against this TCU defense. A defense they scored 10 goals against last week. Johnson off of the pass, able to field it quickly, gives it back to Monzone. Stutter step. Tried to penetrate, not going anywhere. .253 and counting in the third. Long wind up, and there's a long shot from Devin Bonney.
Wow.
Exactly what the doctor ordered for LSU.
Wow. Devin Bonney with a laser. Talk about timing. Down by 4. They know they got to get back in this game. They're not trying to rush it and play uncharacteristic. But, man, that was a great offensive setup, and Bonney delivered a shot.
Yeah, he winds up and then delivers just a bullet out of the stick, and it's back to a 3-goal deficit for LSU. A little momentum here. If you can get a win, the face-off X and the make it take it from Bates, you'd think they would have a little bit to work with. Instead, a clean win from Justin Cozy makes things tough on LSU, and there's a flag that'll give it advantage to the Horned Frogs. Misplay on the near sideline. Picked up just in time before it trickles out of play from Kyler Waldron. Long pass, switching field. TCU with numbers here. Larson, Lundy sends it wide to the right.
Yeah, they had the numbers, but they you know, you got to credit these guys with even knowing that they have numbers. They're looking to make the outlet pass to a guy that's in a better position to score. So Lundy was right there. He doesn't miss too many of those, but like you said, that shot was wide right.
So TCU 1 for 1 on the man advantage so far today. LSU 0 for 1 in that category, but now Bonnie, after scoring the goal a couple moments ago, will spend some time in the penalty box. How about this sneaky from Lundy and a save from Doug McCoy just in the nick of time.
Oh, he almost had him. Almost had him.
Lundy was so nonchalant going to the net. It almost looked like he was walking.
Yeah, he tried to lull Doug to sleep.
It almost worked. He definitely lulled the LSU defense to sleep. And now back behind the defense, Monzon didn't see it, picks it up in front of the crease, and it goes in! It goes in! Oh, right at the last moment. Monzon didn't see it. He picked it up in front of the crease, tried to sneak it underneath Brody Cummins, and by an inch touched the twine of the net under the crossbar.
I wish we could rewind just
a
replay
it was so
of
close.
that. I'm sorry, Fred Garner, right here in front of me, but I tell you, the replay would show that was a double bounce. It hit the pipes. It came right back down. They called it a goal.
I think it did hit the net, though. I think it might have hit net and pipe at the same time.
It bounced straight back down.
So tough to tell. No replay, and it's a second straight goal for LSU. All of a sudden, the 4-goal lead has shrunk to 2. Bates with a win at the faceoff X, and LSU has momentum. Cade Hernandez picked it up with the long stick, but it looked like he might have taken a shot on his leg.
Yeah, he took one right to the knee.
There's some extra contact, picked up on the ground ball by Kamowski. Kamowski with extra space, looks in the slot, finds Monzon, sideways swipe, that one off into the right, and TCU will have possession. Wow, what a turn of events in the last 4 minutes of this matchup. 1:08 and counting to play in the third, but this one not over by a long shot, as LSU has had exactly the answer they've needed.
There goes LSU stealing back a little bit of that momentum from TCU.
They were able to stifle the power play from TCU as well for the first time. Now the Horned Frogs 1 for 2 in that category. Pacino far side. He had a big role in yesterday's win over Texas A&M. He's had a smaller role today, but TCU has certainly not had their issues on the attack. Huey looking for somebody. That one ripped away by Kirby Stifle. An advantage called to LSU. Misplay in the middle of the field. Here goes Miller. Easy ground ball, 2 seconds before the end of the quarter. Doesn't get it off in time. And the third comes to a close. Everybody take a deep breath and buckle up. We've got 15 minutes left. 8-6 is our score, and TCU leads it over LSU. What looked to be a quarter dominated by the Horned Frogs was basically ripped out of their fingertips by the Tigers in the final couple minutes.
Yeah, the Horned Frogs looked like they had stole the momentum back. They'd gotten a 4-point lead, and at that point was just running the Tigers off of the field. They grounded themselves, and it all started defensively. Just being able to create those turnovers down here and get on the fast break. And I tell you what, man, Matt Bates as the Fogo, that's where a lot of the rubbers meeting the road in this game because of his ability to dominate at the faceoff. I think it's just creating those possessions for the Tigers.
It really has been an entertaining first 3 quarters, and really it's going to be a war of attrition here in the final quarter. You see both teams having players stretched out, taped up, attended to, extra water, extra Gatorade as they can. But this is a very important next 15 minutes and really next 5 minutes if you're LSU.
Yes.
To try and get back in within a goal, maybe even tie things up. And if you're TCU, the next 5 minutes of extending that lead back out to what it was.
And both of these teams have a deep bench. So they are, you talk about the attrition, but they have the ability, I know Shane Coppins has the ability to go deep within his bench, and he talked about that, just not being afraid to play all of his guys.
He's Heckma Harrison. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Final quarter on the way of the LSA Invitational title match between TCU and LSU. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button here for Game On Sports. If you're watching on YouTube or Vimeo, Facebook, hit the like button. Share these broadcasts. Continue to grow the game, not only in the south of Texas lacrosse and Louisiana lacrosse. Continue to grow Game On Sports as well. We are so glad you're with us for this one. And if you're just like us, you're pumped about the next 15 minutes. This is going to be fun. Matt Bates at the face-off X for LSU. It's Cozy for TCU. And again, Bates with the win, and the Tigers will start with possession.
Yeah, finally.
Bates has really had the push all game long, but not as clean as that. Johnson held it initially, but here's Sofield, shadowed by Harrison. Sofield, goal line extended. Continues to work around, trying to go top side, but slows things down instead. A late flag flies from our back judge here. Kamowski, near side, long rip from Sofield, knocked away by a TCU defender, but it's picked up cleanly by Monzone. Monzone thought about the sharp angled shot, instead works toward the crease, and he puts it in! Caleb Monzone has made this a one-goal game.
And Monzone is just doing the Macarena in the crease, and he gets Brody Cummins to move just a little bit, and he fires it over his head.
Oh, he is so slippery.
Yes, he is.
And that's the goal LSU needed to cut this lead down. And with just under a minute off the clock here in the fourth quarter, it's anybody's ball game. 8-7 our score.
And you think about that, Joshua Harrison makes the play with his stick. He basically deflects the first goal. It goes right to Monzone, and he gets back topside and scores.
Gosh, that was just crafty footwork and able to take every piece of contact. Bates with a backhanded flip to Johnson. It'll be enough to get it to the striker. The attack man. As LSU with Bonnie now. Another flag will fly. LSU has scored on every advantage they've had so far. Tried to feed it in the middle. Bonnie looking for Sofield. Goes all the way back toward midfield before it's finally picked up by Cade Hernandez. Kamowski on the GLE, right in the middle of the crease, trying to find Johnson again, but it's sticked by Harrison. And we'll see what the penalty is here for TCU. It's been a windy weekend here in Keller. That certainly has continued. If you want to think about an advantage for either side, the wind is blowing from right to left on your screen, so at the backs of the LSU Tigers, as they are attacking goal into the face of Brody Cummins.
Yeah, he has the wind in his face, but not the sun, so.
That's a good point. The sun the other direction, mostly in the face of Doug McCoy, the goalkeeper for LSU. 13:15 left to play. LSU with a man up. On zone, near side for Sofield. Kamowski. Kamowski, long wind up, and that one off the dome of a TCU defender. It hit off of Jack Huey and then scampers all the way to the end line. LSU able to get there back in time for Sofield. Sofield in the middle, tried to find Kamowski. Ron Johnson back around to Monzone.
Yep,
Johnson. saved by Cummins. Trying to be slapped back in by Kamowski, and a late sweep from Ron Johnson again, but TCU forces the stop at the moment. Near side, top shelf, that one saved by Cummins.
That's all Brody.
The penalty will come to a close. Sofield had a couple opportunities, Kamowski, Johnson, but it doesn't work out for the Tigers. Still a one-goal lead for TCU as they continue to just nurse that one-goal advantage.
Yeah, you can feel it, man, that the Tigers are on the move.
Should be safe to say they're on the prowl.
Yeah, you can say that.
Far side for Ron Johnson. Here's Monzone. He has been the catalyst so far for LSU. Here's Christian Latino. Faced by the double team, and the double team forces an arid pass. Oh, we're going to have a conversation with our umpire.
Yeah. As I believe he pointed possession to the Tigers.
Saying that might have ricocheted off of a TCU defender. It was definitely a pass. No chance of that being a shot. Latino is trying to find Monzone.
Yeah, beautiful day today. Not a cloud in the sky, man. This is perfect weather for some lacrosse other than the wind, right?
See, and the wind even not too bad, seeing that it's not very humid. And it's a little bit warmer than it was yesterday, but the wind kind of cools you off, but it is very loud. So they're going to get Mala on a penalty.
So down 2.
I think they're only going to be down 1. They're going to keep, it's not Mala. Mala came off for a substitution. Joshua Harrison remains in the box for 31 seconds here. Possession stays with LSU and a man advantage here for the Tigers. Cardiff. Expect Ron Johnson or Mala to get a chance here in the final 20 seconds of this penalty. Had all 80 seconds to work with on the shot clock. Here's Mala. Up top to Cardiff.
10 seconds.
Latino trying to switch fields, and Monzone couldn't handle it. Still put up on the ground. Coming in was Sofield. The penalty is done. Huey released from the midfield line. Back to even strength for TCU. Here's Monzone attacking the crease. He's so slippery. Finds a teammate, and he missed it to the right. Looked like it would have gone in. LSU was ready to explode. Danger still there. Trying to find Cardiff in the slot. He can't handle it either. Picked up again from the Tigers. Another flag flies in. And now you've got Monzone to the near side hash mark as everything is chaos. This trip down the floor, and a long strike goes high from Latino.
God, that's Johnson sitting back there just waiting. And he had Brody Cummins out of position but not able to score. That defense, I tell you what, number 49, we say his name so much, Grayson Weithman, was a part of the reason why they were not able to get that score.
You can see the sticks on heads from this TCU defense. They have had to work so hard the first 5 minutes of this quarter. TCU has not had a possession on their half of the field.
No.
Whereas defensively, the purple jerseys have had to work with a man down for much of this half so far, or much of this quarter, rather. Can LSU finally break through and tie this thing at 8 with a man advantage? Cardiff, near side. That one stood up as Cummins denies Kamowski.
Yeah, Brody, it's this. Anytime Brody's got a bead on it and he's got his eyes locked in, he is not going to allow that score. Where they've gotten him is just getting him out of position.
Back to even strength, and TCU is able to hold, much to the delight of the Horned Frogs. This time it's going to go against LSU. After not having anybody in the penalty box through the first half, the fourth quarter of this one has been littered with people working their way to the box.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
So we're waiting on the release of a player. Larson, near side. Back to Mala.
It's important for the Horned Frogs because they get Gambrell back.
You love having Gambrell on the attacking end of the field. Works to the far hash mark. Guarded closely by Johnson. Johnson pokes it away. Put on the turf. Coming in to knock it away again was Colin Ferguson, and so the advantage has been played out. TCU unable to make something happen with it, and now the Tigers will send Ron Johnson to the box.
That's some slick defense by Johnson.
Just a crafty stick poking in there. It's not going to be Johnson to the box. We'll see who it is for LSU having a conversation. Going to have some explanation here for Ed Carr. Inadvertent slash. And so LSU, it does not look like will be a man down.
Yeah, Coach Mark Purcell is not happy about that.
And it'll stay with LSU possession-wise as well.
Yeah,
so they
don't
stop
like that.
Play after the advantage. Yeah, that one's
What's
pretty
the point? Well, I guess you got to explain the flag, so makes sense.
So LSU back with it. Everybody even strength. It's almost like a reset button here with 9:15 left to play in the LSA Invitational title game. Coming down to the wire as we expected from these two programs. Ron Johnson. Watch bond zone. Long windup, and that shot again saved above the shoulders by Brody.
Yeah, that's always easy for Brody when you from that far out and he's got his eyes locked in. He's going to get that net up and get a save.
Long windup. Larson thought about it for TCU. Instead, he'll keep things subdued at the moment. It's hard to say subdued when Gambrell has the ball in his stick. He is so fancy with the footwork. He is pinpoint accurate, the sniper from long range.
They clear it out for him.
ISO for Gambrell. Didn't get a window. Great check from LSU to keep things interesting. Mala tried to find Stephen Mason in front of the crease. This goes all the way to the 50-yard line, and an offside's called on LSU, and it goes back over to the Horned Frogs. Just an extra step for Wally Sofield. 7:40 left. Streaking player, it's Mala. Saved by Doug McCoy.
What a shot. What a shot and save.
Unable to clear it. But it is picked up by Bonnie after the extra effort. Bonnie, far side. Johnson for the tie! It's a new ball game with 7:24 left, all tied up at 8.
Ron Johnson is deadly from that far side over there. And they have got to get extra defenders out there on number 44 because when he's camped out at that hash mark, he is all money.
Down by 4 unanswered from LSU. And the Tigers looking to invade the Lone Star State and take the Lone Star Alliance in 2021. And they have answered the bell back against the wall after really what was just an awful start to the third quarter. And TCU had every ounce of momentum. And now all of that belongs to the Tigers.
Yeah, the Tigers have stunned the Horned Frogs right now. At that emphatic pace that they played with to get back down by 4 goals, it looked like they were just getting outclassed, outmanned, out everything, and then they got back in slowly. You saw them break those 2 quick points to break it, get it down to 2, going into the fourth quarter, and man, they've made their way all the way back with 7 minutes and 24 seconds left in this ball game.
It's been so impressive to see just how much of a response there has been from Coach Shane Coppin's company on that sideline. Of course, he played professionally and also played at Loyola during his collegiate career, worked his way down to Baton Rouge. Looked for a lacrosse stick. He found the lacrosse program at LSU. Won a championship in 2019 in his first year as head coach. 2020, of course, much like the rest of us, throwing a wrench into things, especially at this level. Coach Coppins trying to do exactly what he came to LSU to do, and that's win some championships. They have not led since the middle part of the first quarter when they held a 2-1 lead over TCU. They jumped out to a 2-0 start, the Tigers did, right out of the gate, and TCU answered the bell quickly. Now it's been the Tigers' turn, and really it started at the face-off X, and with plenty of opportunities on that side of the field, whereas TCU, you've got to turn things around quickly before it gets out of hand. And the Tigers do exactly what they did in Shreveport last week and complete a comeback win. This one's still pinballing between defenders. All the way to the end line it goes. A massive humanity right at the cones. And it's finally swept away. No, it's not. All the way to the crease it goes. Still no handle between the two sides. And it's Devin Bonney that comes up with the loose ball. Now a clearance for LSU. Bates staying in the game. The Fogo working in the midfield. Wally Sofield back to Bonney. Johnson is open on the goal line extended. They feed it to him for the lead, and it's sent to the right.
You know, that's the money spot for him, so you better get a guy out there.
Coach Coppins on the near sideline knew that was an opportunity. Great feed from Bonney. Goodness, that was close to making this 9-8. Ron Johnson back behind net to Sofield. Now it's Monzone. Monzone, who single-handedly brought LSU back, it seemed like, goal-scoring wise. You know he's not done just yet. What was it said by Coach Coppins before the game, Heckma? That breakfast has worked through them. They're hungry now.
Yeah, exactly.
They must be starving into this fourth quarter.
That's exactly what he said. He said, man, we've had breakfast. Now it's time to have a little lunch.
How about this one? Set up for Monzone, and it sails.
We're gonna tie a string around your leg, man. You're gonna pop here in just a second.
Getting close. Here goes Johnson. Back to Monzone. Tried to feed it back to Johnson. Instead it's Sofield, who had the mishandle off of the hop. Took the short hop, but only has 8 seconds to shoot.
Yeah, two guys in the same area.
4 to shoot. Dive to the crease.
Surprised it wasn't a crease violation.
It was.
Okay. And
it is going to go the other direction. Lost the ball in the process, but it was a crease violation regardless. And with 5 minutes left to play, nothing decided between the two sides. That ball trickles out. It's going to go back to LSU. Jack Huey came near side right in front of the scorer's table and went out of play. Almost thought he stepped out before that.
I did too, but he was walking the chalk. Ball comes off his head out of bounds. Turnover goes it back to LSU.
Brett Davis with it, but a timeout called beforehand. 4:36 left, and we are all tied up at 8 apiece. And we knew going into this matchup, Heckma, that, this is pretty evenly matched two teams. And we have certainly seen that again today.
You know, I relate everything back to boxing, man, and these are those championship rounds when you get to the 10th, 11th, and 12th round. And, well, here we are with 4 minutes and 39 seconds left in this game, and both of these teams, man, are seemingly out of gas and just playing on muscle memory right now. You see guys taking on some Gatorade, getting those electrolytes and getting stretched out because even though it's 82 degrees, these guys are exerting a lot of energy.
So whoever scores coming out of this break is going to have a really good opportunity to take this final matchup. I mean, if you see either one of these sides find the back of the net coming out of this timeout, that'll play a huge advantage. Now, LSU still riding high, once down in this game 8-4. You've also got to find a way to control that energy. The energy's there. You can hear it from Coach Coppins.
Yeah.
However, you've got to find a way to kind of hone that in and put it on the field and continue that momentum. Whereas for TCU, you have to find a goal to stifle the run.
Yeah, you have to. And they've, tried to, because all of these points have come in waves, but just these last 4 from LSU, they've pretty much dominated time of possession at the face-off, and also just being on offense. And you talked about our guy, TCU with their sticks over their head, man. They are exerting a lot of energy being expelled on defense, not having a lot of opportunities on offense, but they have got to get that ball in the net.
After a breather, we'll see if that TCU defense looks more like the TCU defense that Coach Purcell has had all year. Long run to the GLE, back around the SO field. Latino, far hash mark. Leans in with the left shoulder and then dishes it back around. Sofield thought about the snipe from distance, instead ran out of real estate. 4 minutes left, 30 seconds to shoot.
And they are looking for cutters because they know that's what LSU is trying to do. And Ron Johnson has been the culprit each time.
Can Brody come and step up and make another really big stop here to get the possession back to the Horned Frogs? Who will step up for LSU? Monzon takes a look at the shot clock. 8 to shoot. Spins to the right. Right in the middle of the slot, mishandled, and TCU's defense will stand strong. 3:31 left. They get the ball back.
That's the defense you needed. That was the defensive possession you needed.
Who will be the hero in Keller, Texas today? Mala was the hero last night for TCU. Had plenty of output. Was the catalyst for the Horned Frogs. Larson has been very good today. He brings it past the 30-yard line. 3:10 and counting, goal line extended. TCU on the attack. Little extra room for Larson. Left hand, far side, snipe, saved by McCoy.
Wow.
Keeps it tied up, and the ground ball's picked up by the LSU defense. Now McCoy has to vacate the crease. This one's put on the turf. He has to go back, and that one de-sticked out of the stick of Lundy. And LSU, with the long stick, will get it back, and the Tigers in transition. Put on the turf again, and now Larson has it. Far side, looking for Miller. He loses possession of the ball. Oh, my goodness, back and forth in that side of the field.
Andrew Miller, if he was able to secure that pass, he was in prime position.
Now Devin Bonney, 2:18 on the clock, sets up the LSU possession. Can they finish it? Down by 4 in the middle of the third quarter. They have not allowed a goal since the 7:50 mark of the third period. Bonney, far hash mark, leans in, goal line extended. Monzon, instead it's Johnson. Here's Monzon. Johnson was the streaker. 1:40 left, right in the slot, it's Bonney!
Oh my God! What a shot!
9-8 LSU. Straight away, upper 90 goes Bonney, and they've scored 5 unanswered goals to take the lead with 1:39 remaining.
Wow. What a pass from Ron Johnson to Bonney at the front of the cage. Minute 39. Wow, this instant classic.
This face-off is huge for TCU. They've had trouble against Matt Bates all day. What does Kazi have in store? He has a clean face-off win. Huge for the Horned Frogs, and it's picked up by Larson. So TCU not out of it yet. They've got 90 seconds to work. And Coach Purcell wants to talk it over. So plenty of time here for TCU to set it up. 1:24 left. Got 69 seconds on their possession to get a shot off. They're probably going to get a shot off well before that 69 seconds would come up, I would believe. But now LSU, having come all the way back, has to play some defense here. Who has to step up for TCU if they were to get this equalizer in the final minute?
Yeah, Will Gambrell, Trey Mala, they have been the catalyst, and they've been the guys that have gotten this offense started from beginning to now. And so I would expect for Coach Mark Purcell to get the ball in his playmakers' hands.
Got to get it into the playmakers' hands. And you got to feel for Brody Cummins. I mean, he had just such a fantastic first 3 quarters, and like you said, it just looked like the defense for TCU ran out of gas. How much do they have left in the tank?
Well, they've been exerting a lot of energy on defense, and like you said, man, Brody Cummins has been solid this entire game, but he has had these attackmen converging on him from every angle. Ron Johnson, whether he's camped out at the crease, but they're just finding those cutters, and they're over-communicating on defense, but LSU just able to find that window and score.
1:24 left to decide a champion of the LSA Invitational. Once again, what they're playing for, trying to earn a bid to Central Texas in the MCLA Invitational, the big-time tournament. Played in a couple weeks down in Round Rock. TCU has a chance to get there with a win. Their only loss of the season has come to these LSU Tigers. Larson, left side, 1:10 left. That run didn't go anywhere. The LSU defense able to rotate. Larson looking for an outlet pass, didn't have one. Back to Huey. Works in from the 35. Mala winds up at the right side, and it's saved by Doug McCoy. McCoy has not allowed the goal since the middle of the third quarter, and the pressure is on TCU to get the ball back.
Yeah, Doug McCoy, even though he's a guy that's just come off the street, with his ball skills, man, you've got to give him a pump fake or something to get him out of position. That's just easy for him if you're just going to give him a shot.
Timeout called by TCU, and LSU can feel it. They need a turnover and a transition goal to get back in it. And what a comeback it has been for the Tigers here in this fourth period. 33 seconds left for TCU to try and work a miracle here, Heckman.
Yeah, definitely. And so that's where all the magic has been for them on defense. You talk about the first half and what they were able to do, stealing back the momentum. It all started from what they were doing on defense. And we've said as guys like Grayson Weithman and his job that he's done on defense, and also Kyler Waldron. And so they've played solid this entire game. Right now, they just need one more play defensively and a score to tie this thing up.
They need a huge play defensively, a quick clearance.
Yeah.
And you mentioned getting it to the playmakers in the last timeout. That is more imperative than ever at this moment. Everybody buckle up. This will be a fun 33 seconds on the game clock. Each team out of timeouts. 9-8. LSU advantage. They once trailed 8-4. 5 unanswered goals for the Tigers at the back half of the third and into the fourth to take a 1-goal lead. It'll start with Monzone. Shadowed immediately by the TCU defense. They need to knock it away quickly. Monzone's so slippery. We've seen it near the crease. Now you see it toward midfield. It's jarred loose. Put onto the ground, 20 seconds left. Can the Horned Frogs come up with the ground ball? Biggest ground ball we've seen in a scrum, rugby style on the far sideline. Picked up initially by TCU. No whistle blown. It goes out of play. An advantage to the Horned Frogs, but they only have 8 seconds to do something with the loose ball. Who can they get it to with 8 seconds left? Looking for the equalizer. have to have some sort of substitution here. Gambrell checks in, so does Larson. Far side, last chance, Huey, saved by McCoy, and LSU takes the LSA.
Sometimes, man, the team just has your number, and LSU, man, they have competed. They weathered the storm, and this is just, man, it's all Shane Coppins. And we talked to him before the game, and he just said it, man. He said, no matter what happens today, we're going to win this game. They're going to come out, they're going to give us our best, but that's all right. We're looking forward to it because we're going to win.
The Lone Star Alliance invaded by Louisiana State. They come to Texas and take the LSA title for the second straight competitive year. Did it in 2019. They do it again in 2021. And Coach Coppins and company sharing the emotions, the elation of winning a title again. And they did it in come-from-behind fashion, fashion in which they are oh so familiar. And this defeat for TCU hurts maybe even a little more.
Yeah, that's just one. Sometimes, man, you come up against a competitor that's willing to give it everything, and that's what LSU did. They, even though they were down by 4, they just kept grinding. They kept competing. They never, held their heads down or felt like they were out of this matchup. I mean, conventional wisdom would teach you, will tell you, you're down by 4, one more score, you're out of it. This LSU Tiger team has no quit in them.
And they've got a couple more games to try and get in to the MCLA Invitational. A lot of respect between these two sides. Doug McCoy, Brody Cummins sharing the initial handshake. McCoy made the big saves down the stretch for the Tigers that ultimately led them to victory.
Yeah, Doug McCoy, and the legend of Doug McCoy grows, right? He was working at a gas station a month ago, and here he is in Fort Worth winning the LSA tournament and should be the MVP with the way that he played today.
Just an unbelievable show of lacrosse and what has been a fantastic weekend here from Keller, Texas. Ultra entertaining from beginning to end, and a huge credit to all of these student athletes, all of the parents out there, all of the fans, the administrators around the Lone Star Alliance to make this thing happen in what is still a very volatile COVID-19 climate, but still one that, well, this means a lot for these players out there, not only to win for LSU, but to also just get out there and play a little bit of lacrosse.
Yeah, and you got to commend the LSA, the MCLA, and just the job that they're doing, putting this tournament on for these teams that are so deserving and have been impacted by COVID. You hit the nail right on the head when you mentioned that, Kyle, because these guys, they put in a lot of practice, and when you talk about the camps and everything that they go through to try and get a season started, just the fact that they're able to get through this tournament says a lot.
And there's two of the men that are responsible for that, sharing a quick handshake. Coach Coppins working his way back to the sideline where the celebration is just beginning for LSU and the Tigers. They have to turn around. They'll play on May 2nd against the University of Texas. Look at this. Look at Coach Coppins right in the middle here, taking off the hat and giving that extra piece of energy after the win. A come-from-behind victory. They trailed by 4 late in the second half, and the LSU Tigers take the LSA Invitational. Want to thank everybody who was a part of these broadcasts over the last couple of days. Certainly be sure to subscribe and follow Game On Sports for more MCLA lacrosse action. Plenty more to come over the next couple of months and into the next couple of years. It has certainly been a pleasure.